You're listening to In Response, a legacy podcast. A show where three handsome guys talk about their favorite Magic the Gathering format, Legacy. This show is brought to you by queerness@anycost.com and austrian-legacy.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/response_legacy. And now, lean back and enjoy.
Hello everyone and welcome to the 21st episode. This time we're barely legal. Finally drinking age of
In Response.
A Legacy podcast.
I'm Philip Klein
I am Daniel.
And I'm Peter Plank,
and we're talking about legacy.
most of the time. So, this week I have the pressure to talk about first and to introduce you to our newest episode. So, we will start off with some personal stuff so don't give away some of the topics we have beyond. And so basically to start about.
That was a nice catch.
So, Daniel, how
Yeah.
was your last 3 weeks?
The last 3 weeks, I think the most exciting one is that I finally got my vaccination. Yesterday even. Finally, I got my 5G and my freedom.
It's just you've got Bill Gates running in your veins now.
I certainly hope so. Because I got the Moderna vaccination. But besides that, I'm mostly busy with work and sports. I'm still having my weekly running meetup with my colleagues and doing a little bit of beach volleyball also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When and where? When can I join?
It's on Mondays at 6 p.m. at the university.
Okay.
We have a beach volleyball court, and we rented it, I think, for 3 hours from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we group up and play a few rounds.
Oh yeah, I gotta say I love beach volleyball. I would certainly like to join.
Yeah, nice.
Sometimes I'm not good, but it's great to do.
Neither of us is very good at this actually.
Okay, then I got a chance.
But
You say.
it's fun. So, and besides that, I'm mostly working. I have lots of coding to do at the work still, and I'm also quite busy on the weekends. My girlfriend moved into a new flat last weekend. We had to transfer all her belongings there, and
So that's where you got your nice curtains now.
oh yeah. So I mean, you gotta get something when you help someone.
Yeah, for sure.
to move.
You need those? No.
Tell mine
Okay,
now.
take it.
It's easier to move when there are less stuff to move. Actually, yeah.
Oh yeah, always telling it like it is.
But that's basically it. How about you, Philip?
Oh yeah, in the last 3 weeks, there's actually not that much happening. My girlfriend came back home from her, like we said in the last a couple episodes, for a rehab.
Yeah.
And
That's great.
she's finally back home. I'm feeling great now. It's certainly better than being alone all the time. But yeah, we are driving to her family this weekend
Okay.
to the oh my god, how do you say this in English? To the Burgenland.
Oh. It's
There's a word for that.
Castle Land.
It's basically a state in Austria.
Yeah.
It's near Hungary, and
Yeah.
there is the Nova Rock.
Next to Lower Austria and
Styria.
Styria. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the
And we are there to meet her parents again. And what's special about it this time is that my parents will also meet them.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, looks like it's getting serious.
I mean, it wasn't serious when she moved into your place,
But now it's serious.
Now it's serious.
I mean, when the parents meet.
Yeah, when the parents meet, then there's something like
Some kind of bondage?
bonding. Bonding.
Bondage is only in the home guard.
I mean, we do some kind of bondage, but you know what I mean.
This was intended, of course.
Oh, for sure. But I gotta say, I'm a little bit nervous, and I hope they understand each other, and it will be a great weekend.
Yeah.
And what's also happening is on Sunday I have my birthday. Woo! So all is happening on one day,
That's
on 1 weekend. It's kind
Big
of
weekend then.
it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to feel about it.
I
But-
think it will be tied on the next day.
Yeah, definitely. But I got to work on Monday, so we're driving home back on Sunday.
So
And
she drives.
probably, I think so. I can definitely see this. And for the second big announcement, I also get my vaccination next week
Nice.
on the 16th of June.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Finally, I'm also very happy to be in this special club to get chipped.
Join the Bill Gates company.
That's right. And also then I have no problem with mobile data anymore.
Yeah. I certainly also hope that my mobile connection with my cell phone will get better now.
I mean, I for myself am vaccinated since I think 1.5 weeks now. And
Nice.
if you heard the podcast on the last time, I said that I couldn't use the internet at home anymore because it basically doesn't work properly. It's literally the day after I got vaccinated that my internet connection at home got fixed. So
Well, you know why it got fixed.
thanks, Bill Gates.
But yeah, jokes aside, it's cool that now everything works vaccination-wise in Austria, and we make huge leaps now. And probably we will be almost back to normal paper legacy-wise in the fall. And then we can bring you news about our paper legacy community.
Oh yeah, this will also be certainly great.
Yeah, I can't wait to
Jam
Bring
some
the
cards, fling some cardboard, tap the lands.
everything. I mean, maybe I play Mana the Stretch, so not all about this, but yeah.
For the life of Free Phoenix. But I gotta say, I did this last weekend. I was invited at a friend. You know him, it's Dominic. And we were six guys. And we played a little tournament with a double round robin, and it was great fun. I played Nick B MTG on Twitter's Turbo Phoenix list, and it works great. The wishboard is just so cool, and it certainly has something when you storm off turn 1 and make 12 goblin tokens. Attack for 12,
Yeah, I
second turn
noticed.
Burning Wish for Goblin War Strike. And just Domino for 24.
Okay, I only know the first part.
Yeah, Goblin War Strike is a sorcery for 1 red, and it has... The Goblin War Strike deals damage to target opponent
Equal to the
equal
number
to the number of goblins you control.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so cool out of the wishboard.
Yeah.
When they miscalculate the blocking,
Yeah.
and then, I've got to turn again, and you just fuck
Goblin.
this. Eat this.
War strike.
So, like a small goblin grenade, basically.
Yeah, it's
But
basically
big
huge
if you
goblin.
have goblins.
Most of the time it was probably 8, 10, or 12 damage for 3 mana, which is kind of great. And then in one instance of one game, I managed to bury the life of 3 Phoenix, make 14 goblins,
And swung for
and had the
lethal?
burning
Yeah.
wish for the Goblin War Strike also in hand for next time.
Okay.
But it was a very great echo of Ian's.
Okay, yeah.
Must be.
Yeah, and I think that was almost everything that happened. I'm thinking of, I also sold my collection. My
yeah.
non-legacy, non-reserved list collection. I sold, I think, 23,000 of commons and uncommons. I didn't know that I had so many of them.
Yeah.
About 1.2k bulk rares, and I think 100 to 200 playable modern staples. And I got about 700 euros for it, and I instantly bought a French free white bordered volcanic island, 4 misty rainforests, and 3 verdant catacombs.
Nice.
So everything that I didn't need it anymore is
Yeah.
now bundled in a duel and in some
It's
fetches.
so much better. It feels cleaner and you get
it's
to
so
actually
much
play the card.
space in my closet.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And what's the best part of it? I mean, I have now to buy some commons and uncommons and just some bulk again,
Yeah.
because I didn't pay attention, just gave everything away and just said, take it all. I will rebuy it if I need it. And what's great about it is that I can buy the specific things I need for a deck. I mean, you know me and play a lot of janky decks, and I need a lot of janky things. But I don't need 15 Suntail Hawks or
Definitely not, yeah.
yeah. or just some crap comes from Mirrodin.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's just a waste of time, waste
And
of space and
And time
money.
for searching, yeah.
Yeah.
And I got and I was really happy because for the bulk I got about 70 euros for the 23k commons and uncommons, which is for Europe I think a really great price.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. I sold my collection basically to the same guy. And
Yeah, he goes through us all now.
but he was more happy with me than with you,
Really?
because I sorted my whole collection in the first Corona summer, so last summer, by set. So he can basically
Okay.
suit it in and everything works fine. And yeah, it's I think 3 cents per bulk or something like that. Because I had about 15k and I got 45 euros. So it's 3 euro per k.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
that's the price,
that's really, really good.
yeah, that's great.
for sure.
And yeah, I also had 1300 bulk rares, and 10 cents per bulk rare is also really, really fine. And yeah, a bunch of random stuff from boosters. And yeah, so I got myself my first Underground Sea.
Wow,
And
Congrats, yeah.
And now 2 Mr. Rainforests to suit up the play set, 4 old, how is it called? Doomsday,
Doomsday, yeah, nice.
to join the Cabal. And yeah, a few Verdant Catacombs to round up the Fenchers. Yeah. And
For American listeners, it's what's so great about the bulk price from the commons is that in Europe you don't really have a way to get rid of your bulk commons.
Not really, yeah.
You can just toss them, you can donate them. Your LGS probably
Takes them.
takes them for free, and that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have any way to make money off of it or to sell it. And even this price, although I think in America it's a little bit higher, about $4 to $5 per K. But for us, this is really great, and
yeah.
we're very thankful for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think
This was enough personal stuff.
I think this was enough.
We dive deep into our first big topic of the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of magic related.
Yeah, mostly.
But for everyone that knows us for at least a little bit longer, is that we have our first anniversary. Ooh. We had our first birthday on the 28th or 29th of May.
Of May, yeah.
And we're now podcasting
Happy birthday.
to us for a whole year now.
Yeah.
And oh my god, this is just so great. And how are you feeling, guys, about this?
I didn't expect it to last that long. Actually.
Yeah, but the motivation is still here.
Yeah, and it's getting better, I think. We're improving episode after episode in my experience.
And this episode is just huge. I mean, as you heard it, we improved our intro. So big shout out to
my girlfriend.
Yeah, Peter's girlfriend, to Silke. Thank you very much.
An amazing piece who really rounds up the podcast very well.
Oh yeah, so
we
cool.
certainly like it very much.
Yeah, it was a small to big process for us to get into it, work something out, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I really, really like it. And
we had lots of different
ideas
and topics that we discussed over the last year that we had the podcast. We had Mark-Erik Vogt on the podcast.
Yeah.
A big special on Christmas.
Yeah.
Where we talked about his favorite card games, his favorite formats, and
it was a little bit off the wall episode, but it was really great and really cool.
It was great. Yeah.
I liked it.
And
Manuel Danninger had we. Is the showcase winner of the time that we had him.
I think this was
of June last year.
It was the fourth.
Or July. I'm not sure now.
It was the 4th episode, if I'm correct.
Oh yeah, that could be. That could be right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then on the 5th episode, we had Jonas Bauernfeind on the podcast,
who
won the latest. Back then it was the Lindsay Legacy League, I think, and now the Austrian Legacy League. Mm-hmm. And the last guest
was Gino.
Yeah.
and here we also have to give him a huge shout out because he's our first and only Patreon at the moment. Yeah. So thank you very much, Gino, for supporting us.
Yeah. I mean, Gino's great. He's a really, really good guy. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
Let's hope that many years are to follow.
Oh yeah.
For this podcast. For sure. We certainly won't stop at this point.
No, because I think
we just started.
We just do it for ourselves.
Yeah.
We love it when people are listening to us, and it feels great. But first and foremost, we're doing this because it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a small thing which means really, really much to us, and it was, I think, we released the real episode. I think it was episode 19th.
Mm-hmm.
The real one. And after this episode, I think 1 or 2 weeks later on Reddit, one guy searched up the thread where we posted the April Fool's special and just wrote in, I had a great laugh, and he really, really enjoyed it. And to search up a Reddit thread that is 3 weeks old with, I think this one had 0 comments or 1 comment, and right there that he enjoys the show and he likes that. This means really, really much to us.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was just so cool. I certainly didn't expect it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just to know that somebody wants to hear us rambling about our little community and
our inside jokes.
Yeah, definitely also, and our findings in the format and our method and our ideas. It's just astonishing, almost,
It's
And Daniel?
I just wanted to say, I think due to this 1 year celebration, we have something to give to the people.
Oh yeah,
a small giveaway. I think we will announce it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So head
When
over.
this episode will go live, then we
giveaway.
will post a giveaway on Twitter.
Yeah.
You can enter it by like, follow, and retweet,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we will choose a winner from
From all the.
from all the retweets, follows, and
Yeah. And you can win
our big threesome package. It's basically signed cards from us. It's for me, it's a Veil of Summer,
For me, it's a Pyroblast.
Ice Age,
and the Hydroblasts.
also an Ice Age.
Ice Age.
To round it all up.
It's great because Daniel is the real blue player. He plays the Hydroblast.
I'm the paint the guy, so I play the Pyroblast.
Yeah.
And I'm the one who doesn't like it. So, well, fuck blue.
We have some.
Yeah.
That was a huge news, and I think we already waited long enough
Yeah.
and going into some real magic talk because
Magic. Oh, yeah.
huge things happened. I'm not sure if we're the first podcast after the showcase challenge.
I'm not sure.
I don't think so.
I think Leaving a Legacy was before us because they released their episode yesterday and they recorded on Tuesday.
Okay.
Normally they record on Monday, but Monday was a holiday in the US, so they were before us. But we are already the second one. So, to talk about the showcase challenge with Modern Horizons 2.
Yes.
And what first and foremost, what I really like about this, whoa guys, Affinity is back on the menu. Woo.
Oh yeah. I think, was it ever a deck before?
No,
not
not
in
in
Legacy.
Legacy.
Not in Legacy,
I mean,
yeah.
there was Steel Stompy.
Yeah, the
But-
Steel Stomp. It isn't a
I mean,
deck.
Steel Stomp, isn't that the pet deck that only Max Dorschen plays?
I mean, it was hyped for some time, and it was
Yeah.
quite good for some time. I can't remember exactly when, but it was not that long ago.
Okay.
But it's always a back and forth kind of thing with Steel Stompy. Certainly, however, it's not comparable to an Affinity kind of deck like we are seeing now with the new
Yeah.
Modern Horizons cards. Certainly, cards. I mean, it certainly just got a bunch of them out of nowhere. For example, I think the most important cards are Esper Sentinel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a value machine and indirect taxing for the opponent. I mean, it's not a direct taxing, but it's punishing in some way if your opponent plays spells and can't pay the taxing costs.
I mean, it's basically a 1-mana Rhystic Study
you,
with a
you
body.
don't
Yeah.
pay the mana. You always
Yeah.
let him draw.
Yeah,
I mean, 1 mana for Esper Sentinel.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And this is an amazing one-drop interrupting or interacting indirectly with the opponent from turn 1 on. And you often can go, I don't know, Seat of Synod, Moxopal, play a Foundry or another one-drop and then drop with the Moxopal, the Esper Sentinel alongside,
Yeah.
and then you have played 3 or 4 spells on turn 1.
You just vomit your hand on the
Yeah,
table.
it's-
Like Affinity in Modern.
Yeah, like it
Did
was in
back
the
then.
past, yeah.
But if anybody has to ask the real questions here, if you look at the card directly, it's a 1-mana Esper Sentinel. It's an artifact creature, but what the fuck makes this creature human soldier?
It's cyborg.
It's a cyborg,
And
yeah.
the cyborg is part human, so it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's kind of stretch. But
Hasta la vista, baby.
Anyways, yeah, we have also the Thought Monitor is also a strong card. It is
Thoughtcast.
Thoughtcast and a creature, or how's it called? Is it called
Frogmite.
the Frogmite? Yeah.
But the Frogman doesn't have flying if I'm
No,
correct.
it's just a 2/2 with for, I think 5 with affinity for artifacts.
Yeah.
And this is a mashup of these 2 cards basically, and it has flying attached. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to think about it a little bit like Mirror Enforcer, which does also cost 7, but instead of it can be free. You pay 1 blue,
1 blue, yeah.
and it has flying. It's only a 2/2,
And
but
you draw 2 cards. Oh.
Yeah.
you get the fourth cast for
Yeah,
free.
and it's a permanent that counts towards your artifact count as well.
And it blocks Delva.
And it blocks silver.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fuck, it blocks that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
A really, really good card. We have the Nettlecyst.
Nettlecyst.
Sorry.
Cyst.
This is effectively a cranial plating on legs on its own.
Yeah, living
I
weapon,
think
3 mana,
This
XX.
card really makes the deck tick.
This is a really big
This is the big beater. in the-
beater. Yeah. Effectively, you don't need a creature attached to it. It's the same mana cost as cranial plating, costing 2 mana to cast it and 1 mana to equip.
It costs 3 to cast.
The cranial plating costs, costs
okay.
2.
Yes.
But the Nettlecyst is 3 mana, which in sum is all it's the same. Like you play a plating and equip
because
it.
the living weapon. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
because
yeah.
of the living weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, really strong.
And
But
then-
the big card, I think, is certainly Urza Saga.
So,
I mean, I just have to add to this right away. I wasn't even aware, I don't know why, that you can play this card and immediately tap it for mana.
Yeah, but just for
It's a
one.
land, and I know it's just for 1, but it's your land drop basically.
yeah,
It is your land drop as it is a land, and I thought it's some kind of an enchantment at first. I don't know why, and I thought
Because it is an enchantment.
yeah, yeah, but I thought you had to wait for 1 turn before you can tap
okay.
it for mana,
Yeah.
and that's actually not the case, and it's mind blowing for me.
yeah, the saga. There was a post on Twitter from Mark Rosewater with the first design for Urza Saga. It was a land with chapter 1 and chapter 2 being tap at 1 colorless, and the chapter 3 was tap at 3 colorless.
Okay, yeah.
This was the first design. There on Twitter, I think it was Mark Rosewater or Aaron Forsyth, but there is the picture of the first draw for Urza Saga. What we end up here is basically you make 1 mana on turn 1.
It's fine.
On turn 2,
You make a construct.
you make a construct. On turn 3, you make another construct, but tutor up an additional piece of cardboard.
Yeah.
So it's basically insane. I mean,
So
in this deck-
wait. Do I get this right? Do the chapters stack?
Yeah, they add add to
the
each other.
card gets. It says Urza Saga gains
Yeah.
2 tap creator. It doesn't say
Oh.
for this turn.
Yeah, it gains
You
it.
gain it forever
Oh my
because
god, I totally misread that.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, the first turn you,
Yeah,
you
it
get
is-
the
it
mana,
is-
second turn it has this ability, but you don't get the mana again.
no,
No. It is.
Oh,
it
that's-
stacks up.
It stacks up.
Or you can make 2 constructs. Oh fuck.
Yeah.
You can make 2 constructs, but of course, after
This is-
chapter 3, you have to sacrifice it, right?
This is so good for the control mirror because Urza Saga basically says, for the next 4 turns, for the next 2 turns, you get 2 threats that your opponent can't counter, and if you have another Urza Saga, you get an additional 2 constructs that your opponent can't counter.
What
And
a-
you tutor up something like an Ornithopter or an Mox Opal, a Welding Jar,
Or,
or a
yeah,
Retrofit the
yeah,
Foundry.
Foundry.
Can you stack the triggers that way that you search for a Mox Opal to pay for the construct?
No, I don't
No,
think
you
so.
sack at the point where it gains the third
The
chapter
fir-
triggers while it is immediately sacked.
Yeah.
If I remember
yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
okay.
The trigger goes on the stack, and then before the trigger resolves, the land is already sacrificed
Okay.
immediately. Yeah.
Without that, it would be
I think
insane.
Oh, yeah.
And that's also the reason why I think they can't make an activated ability for the third part of the
Yeah.
saga, because it wouldn't work
Yeah, that
With
makes sense.
the-
That makes totally sense.
with the design of the sagas.
Yeah, definitely.
Really, really strong card. A tutor up effect that is on a land. I mean, it can be wastelanded.
But they can get you a grindstone.
It can get you a grindstone, yeah.
You
Yeah.
can't get your missions bauble.
Any-
not so
anything-
impressive.
It can get, yeah.
But still, I think I personally don't think this deck is broken of any kind. I think it is just a
It's
great
just good.
new addition to Legacy that can be played because, in my opinion, the combo matchups is very, very bad. In my opinion,
Yeah, the problem is if something like this shows up, you play 2 null rods in the sideboard
yeah,
and fuck
Yeah.
all over LED
This-
combo
yeah.
and
Or
this
just
deck.
Burning Wish for Pulverize.
a polarizer.
I mean,
Bam.
Burning Wish for Pulverize isn't that great. You play Arcbound Ravager. A
This,
Pulverize kills
this-
every...
Every
Destroy
artifact.
each every
Okay,
artifact.
okay. I'm Pulverize does only kill 2.
No,
all
Is this-
artifacts.
Destroy
okay,
all
okay.
artifacts.
Then,
But you have
then-
to sacrifice 2 mountains in order to cast it for free.
or pay 6 mana.
Or P6 mana, which rarely happens. Yeah.
Good old 8 mana, Burning Wish into Pulverize.
That's easy
Great
with 2
player
lids.
flavors.
With 2 LEDs. You don't need LEDs anyways after Pulverize. I made the mistake and played the Pulverize by having LED up.
Always crack the late.
Yeah, but it's a
Yeah.
synergistic deck for sure.
And
And I really like it. I think Legacy always needs some new aggro decks.
Yeah, it is. Is it an aggro deck? It is
It's
difficult to
certainly
tell.
not prison.
It's not
It's
It's
prison.
also not control
It
like
is-
Death and
it
Taxes.
is resilient.
yeah.
It is a resilient deck, in my opinion. It can grind. It has lots of synergy and value.
Yeah, you need this in an aggro deck to be at least somewhat viable.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if you look at the list, it also plays Emery, which basically is Allures for the deck.
yeah.
And you play Sai, which goes big.
For
You
the
can
fair
get some
matchups,
card
it's
draw.
really,
Yeah.
really good.
You can sack the Moxo Pulse and another card or then additional lands because you play for Ancient Den and for Seat of the Synod to the ability of Sai to draw an additional card. You have the Fort Monitor to draw you cards. You have the Esper Sentinel that can draw you card. What does this thing do?
Sabbath.
Yeah, this is another tutor target for.
Yeah, it's
Ursa
just a
Saga.
one drop that you can get. And it does interact
With a
good.
one drop with text.
If a model triggered ability would... Wait, what? Okay, no, it doesn't interact with Walking Ballista. That was the question I had. Because if this would interact now with the counters on Walking Ballista double down or something like that.
Yeah, what does work with Walking Ballista is, of course,
No, it's no modular triggered ability.
But this thing gets 2 counters. Am I right? It says it has modular 1. If a modular triggered ability, you would
No modular triggers
put
if
1 or more.
this creature dies.
Yeah,
and then on another.
Then modular
So
triggers.
This is dead and now it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
But speaking of Walking Ballista, since you mentioned it, this
It
works
works with Ravager.
really nice with Ravager. Yeah.
Ooh, that's great.
This
yeah.
is a nice way to finish opponents fast. You can sack everything into the Ravager, sack the Ravager itself, put it all onto Walking Ballista and shoot your opponent
Yeah.
for lethal or anything like that.
And something that's really, really nice to have chance against combo is the 4 Ethos 1 Canonists
Yeah.
in the main board. It's just really, really good. Unfortunately, what means unfortunately, it can't be tutored out with Urza Saga. This would be nice, but yeah, definitely expect to see the deck around there
It's
for
a
the
cool
next
deck.
time. And
I'm not totally sure about the 4 Swords to Plowshares in the sideboard.
if you look at the lists that were played,
Okay,
in the challenge, you had 2 decks to face.
yeah, we will
And-
go through this
And the
soon.
one deck was this Affinity deck, and because of that, you had the 3 Disenchant in the sideboard, and the other deck is the next deck we will talk about, which is Blue Red Delver, and you definitely need the 4 Swords to Plowshares.
I mean,
But couldn't you play Portable Hole?
I
I think
card
you
that you
mean
want
Dispatch.
to play is Mind Harness.
Portable Hole is not
Mind Harness?
It's not legal. It's just spoiled. That's my bad.
Okay,
It's from the new Dungeons and Dragons set.
okay,
It's just a 1-mana artifact for white,
Okay.
which does basically an O-ring effect just for creatures.
okay.
but an artifact is easily destroyed.
Yeah.
I think there's another version with Metalcraft. It is called Dispatch.
Mm-hmm.
For 1 white mana instant, I think without the Metalcraft, you tap a creature, and if you have Metalcraft enabled, you exile a creature.
Okay.
This would actually be better.
Maybe, I'm not sure how reliable you can get Metalcraft, but
Metalcraft is
free.
free.
3 artifacts, yes.
Sh-
But I
I
think
mean,
you
you
need to
need
interact from turn 1 on, so
Yeah.
I think Swords is overall better.
Yeah, probably.
It is just safer and yeah.
I mean,
But
it
I really
depends.
like Portable Hole, and that's why I thought
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. But
Yeah,
anyways, let's talk about the other deck.
Let's talk about the other deck and the new best deck of the
Ness in
The new
town.
best, with, in my opinion, the best card in the set.
You mean let's search for it.
Murktide
Murktide
region.
Regent, of course, yeah.
Or do you mean Dragon Rage Channeler?
Yeah.
Or do you mean Ragavan Nimble Pilferer? I mean,
Yes.
it's 3 new threats for Delva.
Yeah, I mean, Delva really needed some help.
Yeah, I
It
think
was barely.
it
Barely
was
playable.
barely tier 0, so I mean, you
Yeah.
have to shoot to the moon.
I mean, I think
Those poor Delva players, always grinding and never getting
Yeah.
a good 1-drop.
I mean, we might get ahead of ourselves because this is, of course, exciting for people to try out the new cards, and this might not be the meta
it's,
that it.
it's fucking week 1.
Yeah,
Let the meta
and for
adjust a
that-
little.
For that reason, I think it is still time to let the format adjust, and
Yeah, let
It
the
is
dust
just-
settle.
like it's always the case.
Gotcha.
if cards and decks are popular, then of course more cards and decks of that kind are being more successful simply because more people are playing the cards that are popular.
Yeah, if you remember the day where Pteromando was printed,
Yeah, for example.
the first 4 weeks, everyone played
Yeah.
Pteromanda. After that, the card is nowhere to be
Yeah.
seen.
And
However-
I'm happy that I haven't bought them back then.
But I think
How much were they? I think 2 to 3.
euros.
Yeah.
somewhat.
To now
But-
bulk.
I think this is, but still not the case for Ragavan. I'm not sure about the Dragon Race Channeler or the Murktide region, but the Ragavan is just insane in my opinion.
I think they're all. I mean, besides I'm not a fan of Murktide Regent, but I think it's a necessary evil in the now metagame
Yeah.
because there was another new card,
Yeah.
which is basically the Delver Killer.
Mhm.
It's Endurance,
Endurance, yeah.
which is basically perfectly lined up. Flash, 3/4, gets rid of the graveyard. Reach blocks Delver, Ragavan, and Dragon Rage Channeler. For toughness
It's just so extreme.
is
Endurance
extremely
is
good against
really
both.
good, yeah.
It's perfectly lined up. And the only card that beats the card is Murktide Regent,
Murktide.
because otherwise you would have here in this spot another good card, which is basically a flying whale that gets card draw stapled onto it.
Yeah.
And this would also be a 3/3, and you had no ability to
Yeah.
go over the card. So you have to play Murktide Regent. And it's basically a shame that the solution to the problem that Endurance is in the same set. And
Well,
I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
I mean, theoretically, if you go for splash cards, you can play something like Gormag Angler. Over it, you can play something like the Ape. Over it,
Hooting Mandrills, yeah.
Hooting Mandrills, a Tamagotchi or something like that.
Or the Skoda Octavia.
Yeah. I mean,
Octavia.
is the card...
The Kraken.
Kraken. Do you know the problem why the Kraken isn't played?
Yeah, you need 8.
It's not on MTGO.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But I'm
Still
certainly
not an MTGO, yeah.
I'm not done with this card. But I think it's just
Skoda Octavia.
but yeah,
But yeah, we currently don't see splash colors in Delva. We only see the straight blue-red into your face, 12 1-drop lists.
what
And it's insane.
what is your opinion on Ragavan?
I, for my
Honestly.
side, think it's the most punishing 1-drop printed since Goblin Lackey, I would say.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Goblin Lackey has the dependency to build the whole deck around it. This card is just straight up really, really great. Can be played in the most efficient low to the ground shell. and punishes really, really hard with Wasteland Daze Draws.
May I correct you? I would even go far and swap out Goblin Lackey with
Brainstorm.
Death Shaman or even top.
Goblin Lackey was printed before Death Red Shaman and Top.
Yeah, but it's the last.
It's more powerful,
the
definitely,
last,
than those. I mean, in a Death Red Shaman meta, Ragavan wouldn't shine.
Why?
Because more
It
decks
kills the
would
Death Red.
play the 1-drop.
No, it kills the Death Rat. It's if you trade the Ragavan with the Death Rat, you are already happy.
I mean, it does similar things. The Ragavan, it generates mana.
I mean, Death Red
Card
is,
advantage
in
of
my
some-
opinion, better because
Yeah,
it's in the late game
I'm
better
not sure,
on
actually.
gummed up boards, but on the
Yeah,
first
Ragavan.
turn,
Yeah.
Ragavan is
Also,
better than
I think
Ragavan
also,
is a bad late.
I don't think so
late
actually,
draw.
because
Dash makes him great.
don't forget Dash.
Yeah.
You can immediately cast it, attack with it, deal 2 damage, and draw a card.
And recast it theoretically for the trash token.
Yeah,
And this is something to keep in mind.
it is not even a bad topic.
No, you can't recast. You can't recast it next turn, but in the same turn. You get it back at the end of your turn.
Okay, yeah, never mind. But you get an additional mana and
Yeah.
then dash it again. It's basically Echo 1 if you discount the trash.
It
and
is
it's
actually
okay.
from in the late game. It is for 1 net mana. It is deal 2 damage and draw a card.
And be free of sorcerer speed removal.
Yeah, that's true. Sure.
And this is fine and very good value actually.
Yeah, I think this card, the hype is really here, and I think that the hype is maybe a little bit too much, but this is a really, really efficient threat.
Yeah.
And if this card wouldn't have legendary, it would be way too busted.
Oh yeah, that's one of the rare instances where a legendary really is a drawback.
And yeah, maybe we have more Caracas running around to have something against the card. But yeah, this card, you have to have the 1-drop. If the Delver player or the Ragavan player, however you would call it, is on the play and has a daze, he will, I think the chances improve from, you have 55% to win because you are on the play, skyrocket to 75-80%.
Yeah.
Because the turn 1 having the treasure token is just way too much. And I've seen Delver players on turn 3 with only 2 lands cast the Chase the Mind Sculptor because they had
From the
2
opponent
Trojans
over.
from Ragavan.
That's
And this
amazing.
is
That's
fucking
amazing.
insane.
Yeah.
And a small hindsight to all the Delver players out there playing Ragavan, change your fucking basics to snow basics. Don't have the feel bad moment. Casting Icefang Quaddle and it doesn't have touch.
So snow basics are
So this is
again
also
better.
in some way a mana dog involved, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mana dog, it generates value, it is not a bad top deck later in
And
the
you
game.
can save the mana for future turns.
You can save the mana. I think this is all around just
So
amazing.
what you're telling me, I should play this in Mardu?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Really, really, you need to play this. And anywhere,
Any archetype.
any
it's-
archetype, that's right.
Doesn't matter.
No,
Just play Ragavan.
And of course, fewer than 4 copies
Mono
is
Red Storm. Play Ragavan.
I mean, I understand maybe 3 copies, but the problem is you
I don't think so.
definitely want it on turn 1, so it doesn't make sense to
Yeah,
play
you
only
need
3.
4.
I think you need 4.
And if you have a problem that it doesn't exile to force of well, remember, play Painter, it does work.
You can always.
Hey, treasure
Exactly.
token is also an artifact, so
Yeah,
Painter.
Painter,
Also works,
it
yeah.
would work. I really, really face the problem with Painter. Short the deck list aside, I've had really, really big thoughts about brewing with, I don't know how to call the fucking card, the Cook, the Underworld Cook, and
That's Asmora Nomadica Daestina Kuldaka.
yeah, God bless you. No, I really want to brew around with him, and he has the ability sacrifice 2 food tokens. deal 6 damage to either a creature or to any target. I'm not sure currently. But the problem is, there is only one okay-ish card that can generate food token currently in Legacy.
Oh, it's not Oko.
It's Gilded Goose. This is
Gilded
the
Goose.
best card to make food tokens.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I searched up Gabriel for food
isn't-
token. There is nothing.
Isn't-
Nothing in Modern Horizon 2 even.
Bartered Cow better?
Is that the creature that dies and generates food tokens?
No, it generates food tokens when you discard it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a ox for 3 and a white, and if it dies or it gets discarded, you generate a food token.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about Uadelva anyways.
Yeah, it gets played in the modern food dredge deck that's now
okay.
circulating.
Do you mean a random 5 people Discord channel somewhere where you and 4 of your fake accounts are joined?
It has. I've seen a list. It has certainly at least 150. So
It must be good.
It must be okay.
that's my threshold. If it has 150, it's good. So bring all your shitty brews.
So yeah, let's talk about Delva 5-8 now. Dragon's Rage Channeler, DRC. It has basically, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Surveil 1, which is basically really, really good in a Delva shell. And it's basically a Delva that has to attack if you have Delirium. It's a 3/3 now and after. If you don't have Delirium, it's 1/1. In this deck, it's a little bit harder to enable because we at first thought that Delva shells may have to embrace something like a Mishra's Bauble to help with Delirium. But these decks are only playing sorceries, instants,
Creatures
lands,
and lands.
in creatures.
Yeah.
You have no planeswalker to help, you have no enchantment to help, you have nothing to help. But
In the sideboard, we've got one Nullrod.
in the
And
sideboard
drafted
we
is
have
Cage.
Yeah.
Sulfuric Vortex, Nullrod, Meltdown. What is Meltdown? Okay.
Yeah, this is against
Affinity
Affinity.
was expected. Yeah. So we
Yeah,
have a little
those
bit, but
those
it
count.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does not really help.
Because you don't want to surveil it to the graveyard. Most of the time if you board it in.
I think the surveil helps.
It makes your cards... Think about
The surveil
a
is
lightning
so
bolt.
extremely strong.
Yeah, the surveil of the card itself helps
Yeah.
to enable Delirium.
Think about the lightning bolt with Scribe on.
Oh,
yeah.
Think about a lightning
but the
bolt with
Scribe one-
Survival one.
But this
Oh,
surveil is
Ponder.
better than Scry, in my opinion.
Surveil
Yeah,
is
yeah.
10 times better than Scry in such decks. It helps a lot with Murktide Regent.
Yeah.
And I think without Dragon Rage Channeler, Murktide wouldn't see that much play actually. Because it's way, way harder to enable the Delve. I mean, it's only Delve 5, but you really, really want to have the non-creature spells
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, I also think that the Dragon's Rage Channeler is probably one of the strongest one-drops that Delva has ever gotten. Alongside Ragavan.
Yeah.
And alongside Delva. So it was certain that something like this Blu-ray Delva list will come up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once the spoilers hit, everybody knew what was the new best deck. And yeah, in this showcase, was it a showcase or was it just a challenge?
I think it was just a challenge, and I think we had. I will just.
How many Delvas do we had in this challenge?
We had on this. I think this was the Saturday. This was the Saturday challenge. There we had 4 It's a Delva in the top 8.
Okay.
And,
So that's just 50%. That's not so much.
and then we had 3 out of 8, so it's perfectly fine.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we don't look at the top 18 with another,
Or top 32.
or top 32. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
just
fine. We have Mono-Red Prison, Cloudpost, Hogak, Forkala Echo Songstorm.
Yeah,
Wait.
that was the list I wanted to talk about today. Martin Mitten broke Song of Creation.
Is there a new card in there? That
Yeah, Strike It Rich and Galvanic Relay.
Okay.
What does the cards say?
Galvanic Relay allows you to combo off on the next turn, which is basically needed because Song of Creation discards your whole hand.
Now,
After
what
turn.
he said is that what really makes the Song of Creation tick was Strike It Rich.
Yeah, understand
Because
it.
you create that's a sorcery for 1 red, you create a treasure token and his flashback for 2 in a red.
Which basically makes, for 1 mana you create 1 mana, but with Song of Creation you draw 2 cards. You can get additional land drops, and if you have 3 mana, you can flashback it and cycle more into your deck. You have how many 0 drops does it play? 10, 22 0 drop artifacts, and with that it's really easy for him to go far. He has Faithless Looting Gamble, Rite of Flame, and everything he wants. Burning Wish for the Tendrils to win the game. So I really like the list. Maybe I have to try it out. I'm missing only 1 Tiger and Paper, but it's
And
on my
it's-
buy list.
And it just plays 2 duels, 1 Tiger and 1 Volcanic Island.
And that's it.
So it's
I really like
yeah,
it.
it's really cheap
This might-
for today.
Might be a deck for me also, yeah.
Yeah, but do you know the problem?
What's the problem?
Affinity is now here in the metagame, and do you know the card that beats Affinity?
This also
Nullrod.
beats this deck,
It's
yeah.
the good old Stab des Nichts, Nullrod. And yeah, with that, we won't see decks like this.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's basically mull to land and Nature's Claim to somehow win the game. Because you have...
Yeah, because you don't have the mana for Burning Wish into Nature's Claim.
Yeah, I mean, you...
Is Nature's Claim? Nature's Claim is an instant, so that also don't work. But
Yeah, you have to search for
you've
Chain
got
of
the
Fate
Shattering Spree.
and Nature's Claim. You have the Shattering Spree in the sideboard, and yeah, it's just really hard to get the foot into a game. But yeah, we will see.
I really like the list. It's so extremely off the wall, and it's something. It's like the Affinity list. It's so new, and I can't wrap my head around it, how it works. But Peter will have some.
Yeah,
Your brain works a little bit differently than mine.
I've basically brewed around for 3 weeks or 4 weeks to get something out of Song of Creation back when it was released on MTGO. And I really brewed around, tried everything I could, but the card is so hard to break, and that's something that if it would cost 3 mana, it would be nice, but it costs 4, which is a problem on its own, but it is okay. The problem is that with a 4-cost enchantment, you have to have a specific shell to support it. Either you go ultra all in and have nothing to stop your opponent, or you have a really slow deck that can fizzle with the combo. So it's really hard, and this version says basically I receive a defense grid and then win on the following turn. This is the game plan of this deck.
Yeah.
And this was something that I may or may not have played. I have to check out the lists back in the day, but it definitely did not work out. So yeah, really nice to see the card be played, because the artwork is really gorgeous on
It's
Song of
beautiful.
Creation. But we are a little bit off topic. We want to ban something now from Delver.
Are we sure?
Or do we want to ban something from Delver? This is the question that we are now.
Well, I think first of all, it is a little bit early to make claims like that, in my opinion at least.
Yeah.
I honestly will say that. But yeah, a Delver deck is always on top.
Yeah, I gotta say,
always.
I can certainly understand all the people that are now very much sick of it. It's since Modern Horizons 1 or even before that,
Always Delver.
it's always Delver
I think
that
it's-
breaks the format.
It was-
It's so
It was always
Oh,
Delver since the top ban.
since the top ban, yeah. Always Delver.
was
Delver
always-
with Death Right.
Yeah.
Then Death Right gets banned. Then
Renin
it's-
6.
Then it's Delver with Renin 6. Then it's Delver with Oko. Then it's Delver with Lurrus. Then it's Delver with Oko again. And now it's
Delver
Delver
with Ragavan.
Ragavan and Darcy. And
Yeah.
yeah.
The question becomes, should we just keep banning, just from a general discussion point, banning the new cards that makes the Delver,
Over the top, yeah.
yeah,
Kiss Hero.
yeah, like the new cards that get added to it, like we had with Delver Charm and Renin 6, Oko. There's always the new cards that are added to Delver, and no matter what we are banning, there's always the next best card that Delver can just incorporate and then be the best deck again. So the
Yeah.
question becomes, is there maybe another card of Delver that might be more suitable to have a closer look at banning? And I think we can throw two cards into this discussion. And first of all, it might be Delver itself,
Yeah.
or which I'm personally more a bigger proponent of discussing is actually Days.
Yeah.
What are your opinions on this?
I've read a little bit much on Twitter today, and yeah, it's a really, really interesting to discussion if it is Delver, if it is Days, or do we ban fetch lands, which was also thrown around because these make the brainstorm decks in general
Yeah,
too good.
just fuck
and it
every
allowed
other deck.
Days. But yeah, the fetch land, the ship has long sailed for it to be any discussion worth about it. And so we have basically, do we ban one threat or do we ban one of the counterpoints of the cards? And if you had my points before about Ragavan, I said about Ragavan, it's the card that abuses Days the most.
Yeah.
And the problem is, prior to Modern Horizons 2, I see the point in banning Delver. But now we have 8 1-drops. We previously, Delver always excelled in meta games where it got another really, really good 1-drop. This was in the Grixis Delver era, where
With
we had
Death Shaman.
Death Shaman and Delver. This was, after it, the best deck was Death Shadow in Legacy. This was the other
The best
Delver
tempo
deck.
deck was Death Shadow, yeah.
with another 1-drop. And it's, even though this 1-drop occurred mostly on turn 2. But yeah, it's really, really hard if Delver has too many efficient threats. And now we have 12 1-mana efficient threats that doesn't get hurt if you daze something. Because if you remember the Rak meta game where Dreaded Arcanist and Oko was around, it was a win if your Delver player after Ponder or a Brainstorm on turn 1 dazed, because that means, yeah, it's one turn, not Dreaded Arcanist. And nowadays it doesn't matter, because even though he dazed after a Ponder on turn 1, it does mean that he gets Delver or the Red Delver or Ragavan into the field.
Yeah.
And if you have seen the lists of Delver prior to Modern Horizons 2, they were on, I think, 16 or 17 lands with no wastelands and 1 or 2 fiery islet.
Yeah.
Now we have 18 lands, 4 of them are wastelands, which are never ever being used to cast any spell.
Yeah.
Because what are the cards where you can use the mana?
It's a
Murktide
Murktide
Regions, which has fucking Delve,
Yeah.
Force of Negation,
This
Force of Will,
might be,
and Daze, which are 90 to 90% played for free. So this is just wasteland to kill enemy lands. It's not for, in 20% of the time I can use it as mana. You can't use it as mana.
Yeah.
There is literally no way you can use this as mana. I mean, you can, I think, use it with Ragavan, but
No,
you can't even use it
because
with
of the dash.
Ragavan. No, you can use it for dash. Most of the time, if you can steal cards, you can cast it for, if it was any color, but you get the treasure to cast the card. But yeah, for my point, this is just a really, really efficient thing, and I don't want to have an opinion on this because the topic is just way too complicated. I don't want to be in Wizard shoes because it is really, really hard to decide how the future may look like. But give it 3 weeks, let the metagame settle. If there is It's a Delver with,
Okay.
and it's potentially, I would say, 60% win percentage because the deck really, really looks efficient. This isn't even a random pile. I've seen now Delver lists playing main deck Mind Harness. Mind Harness, 1 mana, blue enchantment with Echo 1 or something like that. No, it has each turn commemorative upkeep
Cumulative
1.
upkeep, okay, yeah.
Steal, a blue, a green or red permanent, because you needed to answer the DRC or the Ragavan of the opponent, because it is so good to steal it, just
Okay.
for the mirror. And maybe this is the future, and I don't want this to be the future. And yeah, Wizard, let your hammer swing, but but where decide and wait.
It's so extreme. I mean, this archetype has gotten so many tools in the last few months. It has gotten expressive iteration in Strixhaven, which put it over the top. Before it was the Whale, which was new, and now also eight 1-drops. And it also it has gotten in Eldraine now 2 years ago, I think.
I think 2 years, yeah.
Okay, so not the last months. In legacy terms, it's Eldraine is a new set for me. But yeah, it has gotten Sprite Dragon, Expressive Iteration, Dragon's General, Ragavan, Murktide Region, Force of Negation, and so extremely many things.
Yeah.
For my opinion, I also think that there should be something done to the archetype, because it's just so packed with the Xerox shell that you will always have just the best things to do in it. I think we can all agree that we can't ban either Brainstorm or Ponder.
Nah, definitely not.
It would shake too much up in the format. It wouldn't be anything that we like and love.
Have you thought about the Lightning Bolt ban?
Not really, no. It doesn't make sense. No.
Oh, you don't like burn, am I right?
I mean, if you think about it,
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Nah, you don't
mean,
ban lightning bolt. No, you don't.
is it too much troll? Maybe.
It's extremely
A
troll.
little bit, yeah.
But yeah, you can't ban anything of the cantrip suit, because the next best thing just will take its place, be it Serum with
And you're
Slate
hurting
of
everyone
Hand,
else. So.
Yeah, it just doesn't work like that. You can't ban Force of Will or Force of Negation.
That's the same idea like the cantrips.
That's just dumb. But I mean, even banning Force of Negation, I've seen people advocating for a ban. But why would you ban the worst card from the two?
Yeah,
And you can't ban Force of Will because you need it in the format as
As a fixing tool.
as a fixing tool. Force of Negation in my opinion, should have never been printed.
I think it's fine.
But
I
the
think
way
we
this
needed it.
Yeah, there's also
is okay. But I wouldn't be happy if it. I would also be happy if it would have never been printed. Yeah, and like most people say, it's either a threat or days. But I actually leaning more towards the threat. Because they got 8 new 1-drops, and Peter said they will just adjust and play Sprite Dragon, which could be problematic. But just getting rid of the 3/2 flyer that flips all the time.
Or doesn't sometimes. But yeah.
It flips always versus me.
Yeah.
That's a way I feel it. And another thing is with Delver, it also pitches to 4s, and it just doesn't feel right that blue has the best aggressive creature in the game. And just banning Delver as a first call to arms will lead to interesting deck building decisions again. It's banning Daze is or let's think about it that way. Which card is only played in Delver?
Only?
Is it Delver or is it Daze?
Delver.
So if you
And-
want to hit Delver, then you should hit
Yeah.
Delver.
I have to say, basically, I agree with you, Philip. I would also choose the Delver. And
At first, you can always ban Daze later if it is still too much.
I think, honestly, if you ban Days, Tempo as a complete archetype is dead in Legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I
100%.
wouldn't want
Yeah.
in the first sense. But like you said, Peter, it's got new threats and you think they're quite powerful.
Yeah.
And you don't think that banning a Delver might lower the impact of the threat suit.
I mean, it will lower the impact,
Yeah,
but I don't
and
think it
that's
is
where
too much.
I think it actually will impact, because I would certainly put Delver above any other 1-drop in Delver.
Yeah.
For definitely sure.
Yeah, it
It
lines
is
up
still the
way too
best.
good.
Yeah, and it's the most efficient, and this never changes. Like also you say, Philip, and therefore I think Delver might still be fine without a Delver as a tempo kind of archetype.
Yeah.
Maybe it uses Sprite Dragon, as another threat, or it gets a little bit slower, and then it's just not the best deck, but
A good
second
deck.
best, a
Yeah.
good deck maybe. And therefore, I would also choose actually the Delver.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the Daze gets played in a lot of other decks. I mean, it gets played in Espermenta, it gets played in Miracles or in Sneak and Show, and
Doomsday.
Doomsday, yeah.
Doomsday, and
Sometimes Storm.
and you gotta admit, if you ran into Daze from these decks, is it really that bad?
No.
From this deck, it's not that bad.
bad in the Delver Shell.
Yeah, combined with a threat, an
I mean-
efficient threat.
I mean, Daze is never a feel bad card. It's always a good card. It's just a good card. And the thing that I want to add on, if you remove Delver, I've talked about with Philip before, and the thing that removing Delver adds is that you need the red mana on turn 1,
Yeah.
which allows or removes basically the really, really good point for blue-red Delver. You have to remove the basic lands
Yeah,
in there.
you
I mean,
can't-
you
you
play
can't-
one of each, but you can't go mountains turn 1 because you basically remove for the first 2 turns the days from your deck.
Yeah.
And you
And
can't. And if you
so you
ban
have
the
to start
Delver,
with Volcanic, yeah.
Yeah, and if you ban the Delver, you like you said, you can't go turn 1 Island Delver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go always Volcanic Island, Ragavan or DLC, and
Which opens you up to Wasteland.
which opens you up to Wasteland. I mean, Wastelanding on turn 1, if you play the threat, is always a bad thing. But after the turn 2, you can Wasteland.
Yeah.
Or at turn 2, you are allowed
Probably
to.
screw him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works infinitely better with a Delver gun.
Yeah. And
Let's see how the meta will shape up in the next few weeks. If it's really that bad, or it's just the flavor of the new cards that are added to the format.
Yeah, I think it's both at the moment.
I think it's mostly the second part, but we will see. Because I'm not that, let's say, pessimistic on that.
yeah, we will see. if we get a ban, you will have another shortcast on
Yeah.
there. And yeah,
And then we will say, we told you so. No.
and
But-
everything else will be cut out.
But just for clarification, do you think that we need to ban something from Delver now
No.
to ensure that these printings doesn't fuck up the format all the time?
Ask me in 3 weeks, I would say.
No,
Okay.
I don't think so. I personally don't think so. But yeah.
Okay, and
So-
because we don't know what in the future lies, just a short
Your last topic.
last topic.
So should I go on? Yeah, it's basically Universes Beyond gotten a new announcement, and therefore we have our new favorite product, Secret Lair, with unique cards, but with a twist. Universes Beyond basically, so WotC basically announced that we get now unique cards in Secret Lairs from different IPs, but with the Godzilla card treatment, it's similar.
Really.
But yeah, the unique cards will be printed in Magic card forms in the list. So they get a reprint. They will occur more often, if I read it correctly. So yeah, you aren't out of the card if you don't
If you don't
buy the Secret Lair. It won't be redone for the Wanking Dead Secret Lair, as we called it, back in our horny days. And
So like tomorrow,
Like every day.
like yesterday.
like all the time.
Yeah, so I think this is a good treatment. I think this is a point where it's kind of okay for us, I would say, even though I would like that the cards are silver bordered and everything is fine. But if WotC wants the card to be seen in major play, this is the way to go. And I'm kind of okay with it if we get Magic versions of it. I don't want to play Snape. I want to play a damn Witcher or whatever. And if you are allowed to play Snape or the damn Witch, it's kind of okay. If you have to play like,
Then we are
Like
again.
Lord Voldemort.
Lord Voldemort.
Then it's like, I think you said it at some point when we discussed this topic, like the skins of
like
heroes.
it's a skin in League of Legends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You-
that's totally
and
okay.
that's fine, huh?
Yeah, you can play Galactic Nasus or you can play the normal Nasus.
Yeah.
That's why I gotta say I really like the Godzilla treatment from the Godzilla card.
I really, really like it.
That's so cool, but I simply can't understand why they didn't include the original card name here. It's kind of confusing. I think Saffron Olive or tweeted something like, how do you explain to a new player that there are two shield equipments? One is Qatar's shield and one is Accurse's shield, and both do the same. They're completely the same. They're functional reprints with different names. And how do you explain to a new player that he's allowed to play 4 Accurse's shield and 4 Qatar's shield in their deck, and
But not 4 Cursor
But-
Shield and 4 Iron Man shields.
yeah, I've just wanted to, and not for Harry Potter and for Delve of Secrets.
Okay, we go this way again.
yeah. And
You aren't allowed to play Delve because it is banned.
At
But
some
you
point.
can play the 4 Harry Potter. No, jokes aside, I think the treatment has to be really clarified. So maybe there is something in the text box of the Magic-esque cards or something like that, or in the IP cards. But yeah, we will see. I like this change a lot more than
the Wanking Dead, yeah.
than the Wanking Dead, because I mean Rick isn't. If I searched it up yesterday, I think Rick is now not be played anymore.
Not even humans?
By humans players. I haven't only found more low to the ground legacy decks for humans.
Okay.
But yeah, he was played a long time in Humans. So we have cards from these sets that are if we go by Philip's definition, legacy staples.
Yeah,
They've shown up in the 5-0 list, so
I
they're staples.
agree here. I totally agree.
So yeah,
That's not a bold statement. That's totally correct.
but therefore we will see how the wind blows.
Oh yeah. And I think with this we will wrap it up. This was a little bit longer episode for this time for our anniversary special, even though we didn't advertise it as this at the first. If you like what we are doing, you can follow us on Twitter. It's @response_legacy. You can find me on Twitter. It's @FinnekMTG, PHINDKMTG. Peter, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter. It's @UnicornLord, but the O in the Lord is a 0. And where can we find you, Daniel?
And you can also find me on Twitter. It is @FlyingDelver.
And if you want to give us feedback, just write us an email on the in-response@gmx.at. And I think with this, we wrap it up.
In response, the end.
This was In Response, a Legacy podcast. If you enjoyed the ride, feel free to support the show by following, leaving a review, or subscribe on patreon.com/response_legacy.
This was In Response,
Endast wieder.
the end podcast.